Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. Today's just audio only. I am in the Cadillac because my phone is being dumb. My phone, every phone I've had has had this problem to where the jack ends up getting messed up and it doesn't want to charge properly. You plug it in, it's barely getting charged. So I woke up today with a phone of like 35% battery life. So yeah, I got my phone charging, so it's just going to be audio only, which it's a podcast anyways, so you know how it goes. You don't really technically need the visual. Today is October 20th, 2024. Let me double check. Pretty sure it's October 20th. Yep, October 20th, 2024. Today's just going to be a little all over the place. We're just going to hit just some conspiracy subjects and stuff. Stuff that I wrote down, some interesting stuff. Some of it may be kind of old, but I don't care. I find it interesting. We're just going to talk about some conspiracy. As far as the update, we still haven't got the Miss McGillicuddy interview out yet. We're working on it. Slowly but surely, the tortoise wins the race. You guys know how it goes. My wife was off today, but I don't know. Says she's just in a weird mood today. She didn't want to work on anything. I don't know. But it will get out there. We're working on it. So, first subject we're going to get into is Trump requesting military protection, including aircraft. So either Air Force, Navy. Well, interesting thing I learned the other day, well, this was a while back, but, my wife, her father is, someone's alarm going off. Her father used to be in the Navy, and a lot of people don't know this, but the Navy actually has a larger, air presence as far as, like, jets, fighter jets, shit like that. Theirs is actually bigger than the Air Force. Now, I don't know. Somebody could hit me up in the comments, somebody who's either Navy or Air Force, and let me know, like, maybe the Air Force is, like, less pilots, less aircraft and stuff, but maybe they're more elite, maybe they're more superior as far as, like, skill and stuff like that. I just found that interesting, but media, of course, is putting the twist that because of assassination attempts and threats from Iran, they look, man, they really want us to go to war with Iran. It is what it is, dude. They're wanting us to go to war with Iran. So they're pushing this whole, assassins connections to Iran and shit like that. But I don't know. Just keep your eye out. That's my theory, is that they're pushing for us to go to war with Iran. Now, I have not heard if this military protection has been approved or disapproved. I'm not positive. I'll have to look back into it and get back with you all. So let's talk about the latest assassination attempt that's been thwarted on Trump. This information I got from The Quartering, so shout out to his channel. If you've never checked his channel out before, go check it out, man. He puts out a lot of good info. I get a lot of good scoops from him. Tell him who sent you. Maybe he'll give me a shout out one of these days. He has a new cookbook out, which is kind of cool. He's wanting people to throw election parties, trying to get people to vote. I'm not voting this year. My dude dropped out, RFK Jr. My wife is, though. She told me she is going out to vote. Like, she told me, basically, she's like, look, I got a really big feeling that this is an important election. I need to go out. She's voting Trump. I just got mixed feelings on the dude. You know, there's a lot of shit that he did during his term that I didn't like, you know. It just is what it is, you know. But anyways, yeah, he's came out with a cookbook, basically with themed recipes, like, cocktails named after, like, it'll be like Joe Biden's screwdriver cocktail, you know, Kamala Harris's, apple pie, like, just silly shit like that, you know. I don't know, I thought it was cool. But, so there was another assassination attempt on Trump. And dude, I don't know how to feel, man. Because Trump has some shady dealings and shit. Like, he used to hang out with Epstein. He's got, I think it was either Rockefeller or Rothschild connection. I think it was Rockefeller. He's gotten money from the Rockefellers. I did a whole episode on that. I think it was called Orange Man Bad. If you want to know the details of it, go check that episode out. There is stuff that I just makes me think, well, he could be in the club, you know. But I've also kind of heard him be compared to, like, almost like a mob boss, you know. That, like, is he a good guy? No. But he's just kind of like a mob boss. I mean, there's no way to make it, to get that rich without having shady dealings, you know, whether it's real estate, whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that he is bucking against the system, against the elites. I truly believe that they want his ass dead, dude. I mean, this is what, the 4th or 5th attempt on his life. And if they didn't want him in there, like, why did they rig the last election so fucking hard? You know, to the point where it was blatantly obvious that the election was rigged. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but he is bucking their system enough that they're trying to kill his fucking ass. So, weird thing is the quartering actually hung out with this most recent assassination attempt. Well, assassin, let's just call him an assassin. And he was like, yeah, dude, I hung out with the guy, like, at a rally or something. So, I don't know. He was at some sort of event with the guy, like, a month ago or something like that. And he said, yeah, I didn't get any weird vibes. The guy seemed really cool. We sat there and talked and hung out for a little bit. This dude was arrested with multiple weapons, firearms, a handgun and a shotgun. He had a fake VIP pass. His name is Miller, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, Miller. His name is Miller. His last name, I'm not sure on the first. I just got Miller. That's the only thing I got from the story. He was arrested. And then he was released on $5,000 bond. Now, I've been arrested a couple times. I was always bonded out for free. They just had me in jail for like 24 hours here and there. For like DUI, like menacing charges, just dumb shit, you know. But most of the time, here's how it works. Like, okay, $5,000 was the dude's bond. What it is you pay 10%. So if it's $5,000, the bond would be $500. So most people well, I shouldn't say that because the economy is so fucking horrible, but the average Joe who's like, I ain't gonna lie, like, here's a good situation. Like, I'm not gonna tell you exactly how much money I have in the bank, but I mean, I work at a grocery store, my wife works at a gas station, you know, I live in a trailer, I don't pay rent, but I help with bills and shit. I'm helping getting my mother-in-law out of the hole. I drive an old car. I live in an old trailer. But we're not doing bad, you know, knock on wood. Like, I've got a decent amount of money in the bank to where $500, like, it ain't gonna fucking break us, you know? It ain't gonna fucking kill us. Like, the other day, we had to cut down a tree. It was $800, you know? But there are a lot of, I don't know, man. I manage my money pretty well, too, though. So, there are a lot of people, though, that $500, it sucks to have to pay $500, but it's not that fucking bad, you know? Sheriff Chad Bianco said Miller stated, "I want to kill the president." Now here's something crazy that they're doing. The media is saying that he's a member of, like, sovereign citizen groups, that he himself was a sovereign citizen. They're already putting a far right wing, you know, spin on it. Which, by the way, why is it in general, like, who says you can't be a sovereign citizen and be, like, liberal, you know? My thoughts on the whole sovereign citizen movement, like, it's interesting. I've watched a lot of videos about it. Jordan Maxwell, he's a really good source. Like, Jordan Maxwell is a fucking OG. I love Jordan Maxwell. I know there's people that don't like him because he tells the truth and basically explains how Jesus is a solar entity. It is, I'm sorry, and I don't care. I can piss people off. From my research, I've researched this shit for, like, I was obsessed with astrotheology in a time in my life, and I don't believe in coincidences, dude. There's no way there's this many fucking coincidences that point to put it in layman's terms, like, Jesus, when you worship Jesus, dude, you're worshiping the sun. You are doing sun worship. I don't care if it pisses you off, you know, and people go, well, does that mean you don't believe in Jesus? No, I believe that there was a physical man, you know, Joshua ben Joseph, or Yeshua, whatever. I believe there was an actual Jesus. I mean, most mainstream historians believe there's an actual Jesus, but Maxwell gets a lot of hate because he exposed that Jesus is Horus, the ancient Egyptian god. Jesus is Dionysus, Bacchus, you know, Mithras. And I really don't care if I piss people off. It is what it is, you know. I personally love Maxwell. I genuinely think he was a decent person. Like, he reminds me a lot of, like, Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall, like, way back in the day, he started out basically doing lectures, and you could get in for a nickel. That's all he would charge, was a nickel. And what it was just like a lot of poor people during that time period of Manly P. Hall were just poor and just wanting to get out of the house, and like, hey honey, let's go on a date, you know. So one of the only things in town to do would be like, oh, there's this guy, Manly P. Hall, he's doing a lecture, let's go and listen to it. It only costs a nickel, you know. We can afford that. It's cheap. It'll get us out of the house, you know. And here's this guy teaching, like, all this occult knowledge, you know. And people are like, whoa, what the fuck is this guy talking about, dude? But Maxwell was kind of the same way, dude. Like, he would do lectures, and the only deal that he would say was like, hey, give me a place to crash, and feed me. Like, and he purposely did not work his entire life. He considered his study and lectures and all that and interviews and all that, he considered that his life's purpose, his work. He was a couch surfer. He never kept a job. He never got married. He didn't want responsibilities. He didn't want to be held back by marriage or family or kids. He wanted to dedicate his life basically to research and getting the truth out there. So I don't know, when people talk shit on Jordan Maxwell, it kind of pisses me off a little bit, because it's like, I don't think you understand how dedicated this man was to the truth, to conspiracy, to getting the information out there. You know, he reminds me a lot like Tesla. I was talking with Miss McGillicuddy the other day about Tesla, and I reiterated to her, I didn't know if she knew or not, but I was like, Tesla was like a humble dude. Like, he gave away like almost all of his money. He lived off of crackers and milk. He lived in like this shitty motel room. He didn't give a fuck about money or, or women or, I mean, there's stories that he was in love with a pigeon. That was the only thing that he ever loved, was a pigeon, And people make fun of him for that. I mean, yeah, the dude was a little strange and kooky, but, I don't know. He just dedicated his life to his life's work. And he barely got by because he gave away all his money. But anyways, Maxwell, besides the astrotheology, which he gets a lot of hate for, which is stupid because people are just like, they feel hopeless if they realize they're doing sun worship. And it's like, honestly, it was, to me, when I found out that Jesus was basically just sun worship, it actually was refreshing, because as someone who grew up with like religious abuse and shit, it actually felt refreshing, because I'm like, oh, like, I'm not going to burn in hell. It's just sun worship, because I always had like paranoia and fear of hell, and it was kind of refreshing to know that it was all just like allegory astrotheology, and it was refreshing to know, like, oh, I don't have to like be terrified of burning in hell forever. Like, I don't know, because Christianity, it's just brainwashing, it's negative, it makes me feel fucking horrible, I ain't gonna lie. I was miserable as a Christian, just being paranoid of hellfire 24/7, and everything you do is wrong. Oh, you cussed. Oh, you looked at a girl. Oh, you masturbated. Like, who the fuck wants to live like that, dude? But, he was really big into, like, the maritime law movement, of teaching us about maritime law. And it kind of pisses me off. He was really big into, like, the sovereign citizen movement, and super educated on it. But it kind of pisses me off, like, people, took all of his work, stole it, and they never give him credit, dude. Like, I am a big person, a proponent, I guess, if that's the correct word. Like, I believe wholeheartedly in, like, dude, if you're going to take info from someone or get a scoop or anything like that, always give credit of, this is where I got the info from this person. Because I can't stand that shit, dude. When people just take someone's life work, a humble man like Jordan Maxwell, and then they just steal all his research, all his work, and they never give him credit of, like, hey, I learned this all from Jordan Maxwell. And sadly, with the fucking QAnon movement, a lot of them, like, there's this guy, like, his name's like Rattletrap something. I don't know, it's something stupid. Rattletrap 1776 or something dumb. He calls himself a fucking patriot and shit. By the way, that's another thing too. That word has been ruined. Like, I was using that word patriot back when I was a journalist, in like high school, in my early 20s, when I was writing for local papers and shit. I was a big fan of Hunter S. Thompson, and Hunter S. Thompson always referred to himself as a patriot, you know? And that word has been, like, taken by the Q-tards and fucking ruined. Same with, like, red pill, dude. Like, I still use red pill and blue pill. That word was taken by people like Andrew Tate and shit, and like incels and shit, and basically ruined and demonized, dude. But sadly, the sovereign citizen movement has been taken over a lot by this like QAnon retards and shit, and ruined, demonized, and now it's considered far right. Because the Q people are far right. I won't deny that. That's another reason I got out of the whole QAnon movement, was I was like, dude, you guys keep talking about how awesome the Republican Party is, how awesome conservatives are. I'm like, I'm not even a conservative. I'm a fucking classic liberal. And the Republicans and the Democrats both suck. Both parties suck, dude. And it is a extreme right-wing movement, man. And Jordan Maxwell, you know, I would consider him, honestly, like a classic liberal, dude. I could see Jordan Maxwell. He never talked much about sexuality and stuff, but he was honestly, I don't know this for a fact, but I get, like, asexual vibes from Jordan Maxwell. I don't know. He just wasn't a very sexual person. Like, he didn't really talk about it much. He'd talk about it every now and then, sex stuff, but, like, very little. And he never got married, like I said, never had kids, never wanted girlfriends. He had, like, one girlfriend, as far as I know, in his entire life when he was a teenager. And honestly, that's who got him into conspiracy, was he was dating this girl. And he was actually really tight with the dad. Like, the dad just liked him. The dad trusted him. The dad knew that he was a good dude. And the dad was like a conspiracy theorist. Like, he had this book with, like, UFO encounters and all these crazy phenomenon and stuff like that. And he gave it to Jordan, was like, read this book. And Jordan read this book, and I wish I knew the name of the book. He said it was amazing. It was like a huge tome of just like strange phenomena, just weird stuff going on in the world. Like, there was accounts of like meat falling from the sky, or like slime falling from the sky, or dancing plagues, just like weird oddity phenomenon. And Maxwell said it just basically turned him on to conspiracy, and it was like a red pill for him, you know? But as far as like the sovereign citizen movement, which is what this Miller guy was a member of, here's my opinion on the sovereign citizen movement. Because I don't think I've ever spoke about how I truly feel about the sovereign citizen movement. I think it's neat. I think it's interesting. I do believe there's some truth to it. But these, like, the law enforcement and shit, half of these cops don't even know the fucking Constitution. They don't even know your actual rights. There's a couple times, like, I've been arrested 3 times, and I would say 2 out of the 3 I was arrested, and I didn't do nothing wrong, dude. You know, like my menacing charge, you know, it was an unlawful arrest, dude. And I could have fought it if I wanted to sit here and spend all this money on fucking court. And another thing that's corrupt with the court system is if you fight something, your sentence can actually be worse. Most lawyers will tell you, dude, just accept it. Say you're guilty. Just even though you know you are not guilty, just go ahead and just say you're guilty, because they will give you an easier sentence. And if you fight it, they will actually give you a worse sentence if you lose. And the judge that was presiding over me is not a very good dude. His name was Dotson. Like, he's real sketchy, man. He's got anger issues. He's an alcoholic. I know that for a fact because my ex-boss, Dixon Deadman, used to be drinking buddies with him and shit. And every time he goes to court, you could tell he's hungover off whiskey, man. He's just a mean dude. I've talked about him before. But my thing is I'm not anti-sovereign citizen movement. But I sit here and I go home because when I first was introduced to the sovereign citizen movement, I started watching YouTube videos on it. And the information that these people put out is pretty cool. It's interesting, that's what I'll say. But there are literally compilations of people trying this whole sovereign citizen shit with law enforcement when they get pulled over. And let me just warn you guys who are getting into this sovereign citizenship stuff. Fuck around, find out. These cops are not putting up with this sovereign citizenship. They will bust out your window. They will drag you out of the car. You will end up arrested. You will end up pissing them off. I swear, as many videos, I've seen at least 100 videos of sovereign citizenship arrest. It very, very fucking rarely ends up in their favor. Like, I'm just saying, fuck around, find out, dude, because, I've seen maybe one or two situations where it actually turned out in the people's favor. But yeah, this dude is a sovereign citizen. They're already putting a fucking twist on that. This Miller guy, saying it's far right. He's a far right extremist. So apparently the dude had a fake license plate. This one kind of pissed me off. The dude had a quote unquote messy car. So that was one thing that the cops said was like evidence that, you know, that he was sketchy or whatever. And I'm like, well, shit, dude. My car's messy as fuck, man. So, like, where does that leave me, dude? Just saying, as far as, like, my Pontiac. He had multiple passports with aliases. I did not get the actual alias names, though. Multiple licenses with aliases. So, he has fucking aliases, man. He's been going under aliases and shit. So, I don't know, man. The whole thing is weird. There's a lot of people saying that it's fishy. I don't know what to think. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. It wouldn't put me back, like, past the elites and shit to have, like, a fake patsy, whatever, fake, you know, it could just be a fake story. Especially where they're already trying to put the spin on the far right. Like I said, I'm a classic liberal, you know, I'm not a conservative, I'm not a Christian, but I do have to admit at the end of the day that the right-wing conservative Republicans are the lesser of two evils when it comes to, like, basically, they're the lesser of two evils compared to the liberal Democrats, man. Yeah, so, I mean, I think we'll wrap it up there. It was at Coachella, another Trump assassination attempt. They're fucking around. They're trying to demonize the sovereign citizen movement, which, like I said, I'm not anti-sovereign citizen movement, but I'm not pro either. I just think that it could turn out bad for people who are dabbling in it and not knowing what they're doing, you know. I've seen it turn out horribly for people. Yeah, some new assassination attempt on Trump. Dude's name's Miller. They're trying to put a spin on it. He had a messy car, multiple licenses, multiple aliases. Whole thing is strange. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Please like, share, and subscribe, and you all have a good day.